Yo, come here, platformer, the way I'm hopping on these hoes. Hey, everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the Games Kids. Today, and only today, we are here to talk about the state of 3D platformers. Now, I wanted to make this video for a hot minute now because it's driven me a little bit crazy, but some new news has come up, and I want to get really into it. What triggered this conversation for me was the fact that apparently, according to the internet, as always, that there was going to be some big layoffs at Toys for Bob, the offices, and apparently that they're being shut down by Activision. Now, thankfully, this turned out not to be true. If you go on this guy's account, there have been people that have found updates saying that the remainder of the team appear to be safe and the studio itself is not being shuttered, according to Windows Central. So my current theory / reality is that there are 3 current major AAA, what I would call, platformer series out there. The first one, of course, being Mario. Super Mario, like 3D Mario, is always going to sell well. In fact, Mario Odyssey now at 27 million units worldwide. Probably the best 3D platforming sold-wise of all time. And yeah, best-selling 3D Mario game, doubling the best and second one in there. So thankfully, that's doing well. 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is at 13 million. So even that as a port is doing super well. And if you see the list of the best-selling games, you can see right here in tiny letters, Kirby in the Forgotten Land at about 6.9 million units, which is fucking incredible. I mean, games, AAA games, wish they would sell that amount. So for Kirby to be at that number of sales is kind of surreal. Now, those two are Nintendo. The only major platforming series that isn't on Nintendo that's thriving is Sonic, right? That's right. Sonic Frontiers recently selling the best-selling 3D Sonic game with over 3.5 million copies since launch. It's probably at around 4 to 5 million at this point, you know, where as of like probably this is May last year. So I think the game sold about 4 or 5 million copies at this point. But that's really it for the major relevant platforming series. And the reason for that is, well, Crash Bandicoot would be the next one you'd look at, right? Crash Insane Trilogy sold about 10 million units worldwide on PlayStation. It was a mega hit when it launched and came out. It took over the conversation. And then Crash 4 has almost like no sales data. The most we know about it is, you know, its first week launch numbers, and it's kind of finicky how you find those sales around maybe 500,000, and we have not gotten any news updates about the game since, and they barely had marketed the game, and it just felt like it kind of fell off afterwards. You know, they kind of moved on to that Crash Team Rumble game, and we just have not had more content and things in that game in a long time. Another thing that's kind of crazy is Spyro, right? Spyro Reignite Trilogy sold about 10 million units worldwide, and we have seen nothing since from Toys for Bob. Now, maybe they're cooking something up there, but remember, Toys for Bob, after the release of Crash 4, was swept into making work for Call of Duty. They were called in to work with Call of Duty and that team to make stuff for them, and almost being folded out of making platformers. Now, I hope they get to come back to it, because this would be a real shame. And I know Crash 4 apparently didn't sell the best, but I just feel like with these numbers, it's possible to sustain a major platforming series if you just market it enough. And I think Crash 4 was the problem for them, is that, you know, Activision saw that didn't sell well, and they're like, all right, we're out of here. We don't want to do this anymore, which is like one of the worst things a company can do, right? As soon as one red flag happens, boom, just stab in the neck and just like cutting it out instead of being like, whoa, let's try to course correct. Now, we do have Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which apparently sold about 3.9 million units, which is really good. Obviously, you know, it's more of an action platformer, but it still counts. I would say that's still a pretty good sales margin for the game. And the problem is, though, based on those Insomniac leaks, I don't want to show any pictures because I don't want to, you know, have any of that danger on me. They're not making another one of these for a long time. I'm talking about like 4 or 5 plus years potentially without a new Ratchet and Clank game, which is kind of scary. You know, I mean, it's kind of scary in the sense that, like, yeah, they're back burning it for all the Marvel stuff they're working on. And again, it just shows that another major potential platformer in the series is just not going to exist. Now, that's it for the major companies' relevant platforms. I mean, you know the story. Rayman is basically dead. In fact, he is literally like in the slums. In the latest Netflix show, he's just some like drunk psychopath. You know, we've got Banjo-Kazooie dead in the water. You all know that. You know, we have stuff like Sly Cooper that's been dead for a long time. You have stuff like Jak and Daxter that's dead. You have Ape Escape that's dead. You have so many just dead major franchises. You even had that one series, Super Lucky Style by Microsoft, that they tried. That flopped and it's gone. There is Psychonauts that did super well the year it came out and won a lot of awards. So like, and that's what drives me insane, is that there is there is potential for 3D platformers to sell super well, and it's disappointing to see these major companies not attempt it. Like, Xbox not using Banjo is just, it's such a mistake. Like, you are just putting you're just not doing something that would make you hella money. PlayStation backburning Sackboy after, you know, the 3D adventure game that you know, reviewed really well, not just doubling down and making more, is crazy, right? Not bringing back stuff like Sly, or even the fact that they lost Crash, or not bringing Jak and Daxter, not bringing more So it's like, it's so sad to see. I mean, even Astro bought Playroom, right, which people loved with the PS5 launch. It hasn't gotten a game. The PS5's been out for like 4 years now. That would have been a shoo-in for a new 3D platformer. Another case, we have Bound Wonder World, which is going to be a 3D platformer by Square. Look how that turned out, obviously. And I'm sure it's a mix of things. I'm sure it's a big gamble. I'm sure all these companies want their big AAA games, but I wish more companies would invest in just big AAA platforms, or at least just making the ones from the past relevant again. You know, even though they didn't sell well, I was really happy that the Klonoa collection happened. You know, having those games in modern HD graphics to me and existing is really good. Pac-Man World got a remaster. That was really good. I do hope these games get follow-ups, and I'm worried that they just kind of did this, and because they didn't sell well, which it doesn't seem like they did, they're not gonna continue and bring them back. Like, that's my biggest worry, is that just because games aren't hitting these crazy sales performances, that they don't come back, because platformers have the potential to sell crazy well. Again, you're seeing Mario sell super well, you're seeing Kirby, you're seeing Sonic, you're seeing the big ones sell well. So it is possible. It's just about investing the time to actually do it. And obviously, this is where the saviors, where we really need to go to, are the indie games, right? Now, sadly, even in the indie realm, 3D platformers, there aren't too many. There's stuff like A Hat in Time and Yooka-Laylee as the major ones. I'm sure there's other ones out there, but not really much. But there are ones coming that are going to hopefully, you know, make things a bit brighter. We had Rolling Rascal, which I made the video on recently playing the demo, just hit their Kickstarter goal right away, frame one. So thankfully, we're going to be getting that game in a few years. Penny's Big Breakaway, actually, which is by the Sonic Mania team, making this platform, which has been getting a lot of buzz. I'm really happy about this game called Big Patch, which I watched the trailer for, and I'm going to run it for you guys like here. It looks really cool. I'm really happy with how it's turning out. And we also have Spark 3, the Electric Jester, which I actually played the first Spark recently. I can't wait to get the Spark 3, but this is also like a 3D platformer that's like Sonic out there. It's just so sad to me, because like I miss the time where platformers were like the easy answer of a game to have. Everything had a 3D platformer back in the day. And, you know, I think of how SpongeBob kind of carries that legacy still, right? You know, even though Cosmic Shake didn't sell too well, I'm glad that they actually made a sequel to Battle for Bikini Bottom, right? I'm glad Battle for Bikini Bottom exists in a modern day way, right? But like, where are all the other ones? You know, where are my old school Fairly Odd Parents platformers? Where are my Jimmy Neutron ones? Where are my like licensed game platformers that used to be fun? Now, I know games are different nowadays, right? Games cost a lot more. It's more of a risk to make something, but it's so sad to see this genre that like felt like it was so special. You know, 3D platformers just hit different. We all know that. It's sad that a new Crash game doesn't seem on the horizon. It's sad that we don't have a 3D Rayman on the horizon. It's sad we don't have Jack and Daxter and Sly Cooper, because, you know, Sony doesn't think they can be AAA giants. I'm sad we don't have something like Ape Escape back. You know, it's just, I wish this genre was thriving more, because obviously, even though I'm happy with stuff like Mario, Sonic, and Kirby thriving, I want more companies to have major platforming series that they invest in. I even want within these companies to have more, like, where's Nintendo with the 3D Donkey Kong, right? Nintendo has barely any 3D platforms. They stick to 2D a lot of the times. You know, I want a 3D Yoshi game. Give me a big 3D Yoshi game. Give me a big Donkey Kong game. And obviously, you know, easier said than done with a lot of these series. But just, I want this subgenre to live. You know, 2D platformers are a dime a dozen. I don't think we ever have to worry about them. They're easier to work on. There's Metroidvanias. There's all the major 2D Mario games and all those other games we're getting all the time, whether it's indies or this. But 3D platformers, I get they're a little harder to design, but God, they hit so much more different and stronger when they peak. And I want more of them. But especially with a lot of companies getting these layoffs and everything needing to be $100 million project, it's sad to see. And I do hope they find a way to return to that. You know, there's no reason some of these games shouldn't exist. And there's no reason that games shouldn't exist just because they cannot sell 1 trillion copies, right? And I understand it's about sustainability, paying employees, all this stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons and things I don't understand, right? But I want this subgenre to do so much better. And I also want it to be treated like a big deal. Not whenever they do it, just be like, yeah, no, we're doing this. Just put it out there and just don't market it the same way we do everything else. Let me know what you guys think. The 3D platformers you're most excited about, the ones you want to see return. Of course, I will see you all next time. Peace out.